Alright, so I know I said I would be taking a break from the grim topics, but I do kind of feel obligated to cover the situation, considering I have covered it once before, and people are still supporting him, even though his manipulation tactics are so obvious, and his attempt to defend himself and make himself out to be like this poor little cancel culture victim are just so flimsy and obnoxious. It really frustrates me to no end seeing this kind of stuff happen, and I mentioned this a while back. It is one of the few things that genuinely makes me really mad. I don't emotionally invest myself in internet drama, but stuff like this really does infuriate me, and it is just so tiresome to have to see this guy try and drag himself back into the good graces of what little audience he has left, because he doesn't deserve the platform he used to manipulate a child on at all. In case you missed my first video on Cosmodore, which I recommend you watch before this one, as it does give a lot of context and backstory, I'll run down a list of things he's done beforehand that warranted this response for him. He's stalked, emotionally abused, sent lewd images too, some of which were loli and Shotokan, and in case you don't know what those are, I suggest you stay in the dark, but if you do know, I'm sorry. He planned to meet up with this minor in real life, but thankfully had to cancel because he bought a new computer, downplayed the situation to his audience in a horrible apology video where he basically just admitted to everything he was accused of, and is still trying to come back from it, when the reality is that a majority of people don't want him back, and I say majority instead of nobody because unfortunately his fans still actually support him for some reason. So without further ado, let's get into the situation. Alright, so I'm not going to be reacting to the entire video because that would take forever, seeing as I have a tendency to be rather long-winded, and the original video was like 20 minutes long, so I don't want to make this video like an hour. I'll be clipping the bits I want to talk about the most.
This is going to be a statement. This is not an apology video because I feel like I've issued too many apologies here on YouTube and in private, and furthering that sort of discussion is just gonna make me seem insincere. And also because it's not my viewers' place to accept any apology I make. That's entirely on the people I negatively impacted, and they already said that they don't want an apology from me, but for me to be out of their lives entirely.
So you acknowledge that apologizing to your audience isn't a helpful thing because they have no right to accept an apology that was for an offense not committed to them, and also that your victim wants you entirely out of their life, but instead you decide to do the exact opposite of both of those things that you acknowledged, and make a public defense video where the victim can easily see it, trying to excuse your actions and appeal to what little fan base you have left. Am I losing it, or are you, Cosmo? Because that really doesn't make any kind of sense. If you really were sorry and you wanted to make things right, you wouldn't be sat here making a terrible video like this one. You would be off the internet and privately working through the multiple personal issues you most likely have, away from anyone who you can possibly hurt online. You wouldn't be on Twitter crying about cancel culture. And by the way, this tweet is really pathetic because emotionally manipulating and stalking a minor isn't a mistake. You don't accidentally trip and start stalking somebody on social media. This isn't the same as saying a naughty word 5 years ago, Cosmo. You fucking traumatized someone. Anyways, moving on.
This is going to be a statement. This is not an apology video because I feel like I've issued too many apologies here on YouTube and in private, and furthering that sort of discussion is just gonna make me seem insincere. And also because it's not my viewers' place to accept any apology I make. That's entirely on the people I negatively impacted, and they already said that they don't want an apology from me, but for me to be out of their lives entirely. What I want to do here is set something straight, say my piece, and hopefully move on from this, because I feel like I've let this go on for long enough and there's already enough rumors being spread about that I'd rather not perpetuate any further. For those who don't know, I've been accused of being a child groomer for being in a relationship with someone under the age of 18 when I was 19. I said before that I wouldn't talk about this again, and I really wish I could have been true to my word on that, but the rumors just keep on piling up and I still get death threats for something I wish I could have been able to put behind me. And I really needed to take a step away from it all to fully realize how ridiculous everything is. As you may know, I live in Germany, and age of consent laws are a little different here than they are in the United States, as you're not considered a child anymore when you turn 14, and that's the environment I grew up in. I've had people in my high school dating 15-year-olds when they were 19, just like my ex and me. My mom dated her 18-year-old boyfriend when she was 14, and no one ever batted an eye on that. And that's the fact for most of Europe.
Just because it's a law doesn't mean that it's right. Same for growing up in a similar environment. You may not have figured out how wrong that was when you were younger, but the fact remains that you are aware of how bad it would look to other people, and you really didn't think about why, so you kept it a secret. People also just don't go around Germany dating 14-year-olds at the ripe old age of 20 plus, as many Germans who have commented under my and others' videos can attest to. Just because it's technically legal doesn't mean it's not, absolutely disgusting, and before you cry about morals being not legal legally binding. Generally, the laws are there for reasons, and that is to keep harm from befalling people. If I live in a hypothetical area where it's legal to kill somebody, I am not completely off the hook for killing them because their loved ones still lost somebody close, and I did that. Hypothetically, of course, I've never actually killed someone. But it's really not so hypothetical for you, Cosmo, because in this situation you actually did harm somebody. And to cover my bases, because I know how far people can reach, this is not me accusing Cosmo of killing anyone. I am relating the hypothetical of me causing harm to somebody in one situation to the very real situation of Cosmo causing harm to somebody in real life. And besides, the victim wasn't even in Germany. They were in America, where the age is generally 18, so the law wouldn't even apply to this situation. I love how you conveniently left that part out. Again, you're omitting things on purpose to try and make the situation seem less bad like you did last time. Also, might I add, it is so gross that he calls his victim his ex. It just really gets under my skin. They were 15, Cosmo. They weren't your ex, they were your victim. But I guess calling it what it was wouldn't make you sound so great. This is so dumb. I hate the fact that I even have to cover this in the first place.
I never exchanged nudes with anyone. I never had any sexual conversation besides weird Rule 34 shit you can find on most every Twitter timeline. I never met up with my partner. Literally nothing happened.
Ignoring the fact that you did try to meet up with her, as stated in my last video, and that only fell through because you bought a new computer. Also, Rule 34 shit doesn't show up on everyone's timeline. I know my timeline doesn't look like that. It only shows up when you follow accounts that post or interact with things like that. I don't know what your timeline looks like or whose timelines you've been seeing, but you really don't see content that you don't follow or interact with on Twitter. You just don't. That's not how it works.
And I'm still being called a danger to kids, or that I'm trying to lure in fans by making cartoon videos, which I'm pretty sure only stems from the belief that just because I make videos on animation, that means all my fans are underage, when you can simply look at my analytics and realize that is not the case. So there's that.
Does this dipshit know how many people fake their age when they sign up for YouTube, or is he just purposely ignoring that to suit his argument? It's laughably easy to fake your age when you sign up for YouTube, and pretty much every single kid who signs up for YouTube does it, and they tend to choose ages within the 18s to 20s, so obviously the analytics are going to be skewed. Unless you make content that's like Baby Shark type shit or some genre that only old people will watch, most channels likely have a similar age range displayed in the analytics, so it's pretty difficult to tell exactly how old an audience is based on metrics alone. I don't know about you, but let's say one of my favorite content creators just comes out and says, yeah, I emotionally abused a 15-year-old while I was 19. I also sent them highly inappropriate images and was overall a terrible person, but it's okay because it was my first relationship. I would just immediately question that, and I'm sure anyone with a half-functioning brain would as well. However, kids might just take his word for it, which is why he initially got so much support, leading me to believe that a huge majority of his fans were indeed minors. He looks so smug when this is easily one of the dumbest parts of this video. This is not the gotcha moment you think it is, Cosmo.
I fully admit that exchanging Rule 34 with them was extremely irresponsible of me, but I genuinely didn't think anything of it at the time. It was long before we started dating, and never did I ever have any intentions of having our relationship become sexual. They themselves had an NSFW Twitter account at the time, which led me to believe they were overage, and even they themselves said the images they shared were nothing more than a joke to them. So I don't really get how you can go from sending Rule 34 to someone who has an entire account dedicated to sharing Rule 34 to thereby grooming them by sending them stuff they already share around themselves.
You know, we're not just slamming you because of sending the Rule 34, we're slamming you because even after you learned of their age, you continued to rapidly pursue them in an attempt to date them, emotionally abuse and manipulated them, undercharge them for their art, stalk them, which you literally admitted to in this very video. You're leaving a lot of steps out there, dude, and besides, even if a minor does have an NSFW account, that is not an invitation to do what you did to them. Yes, the minor should not have that account. Yes, it is irresponsible of them, but that literally does not give you a free pass to do anything. You are trying to make it out like we're just some big angry mob trying to cancel you because of an innocent mistake, but like I said earlier, stalking a child when you're 19 isn't a fucking mistake, my guy. Stop pretending that it is.
Now, because I don't want this whole video to be me deflecting blame, let me be clear that I was not a good boyfriend to my ex. I expected way too much of them. I made them undercharge their work they did for my channel mascot, which I have since retired because they said it gives them panic attacks and I don't want to worsen their mental state. I publicly called them out over very minor mistakes, and I stalked them when I couldn't get over them. On top of the Rule 34, these are some severely terrible decisions I've made, and I won't deny the damage this has likely caused, which I can't hope for my ex to ever forgive me for. When I started dating this person, I was still very new to relationships, and I convinced myself that they were the one for me. I wasn't actively seeking out minors. I was interested in my ex because they were talented.
Hey guys, anyone who's not single, had a past relationship, anything like that, do me a favor and let me know if after entering your first relationship, you just immediately abused them and stalked them after they broke up with you. I'm guessing not many of you have. Honestly, it is fucking insane that he's trying to pass this off as such a trivial thing when this wasn't like an oopsie first relationship problem. This was you engaging in behavior at the age of 19. You literally had to have known that it was extremely hurtful. You're an adult, goddamn. Yes, a lot of first relationships, especially those that happen at an early age, often crash and burn, but the difference here is like usually the parties are early teens or like, you know, tweens. You were almost 20. And don't start with this because I just liked her because she was talented. I wasn't attracted to her because she was a minor bullshit. The fact that you didn't draw the line at this person who I'm talking to was underage is a huge problem, and it is absolutely nuts that you're trying to defend that. Anyways, that's about as much as I can take from this video, and unfortunately I can't respond to every single detail, but those are my opinions.
Lamp oil, rope.
Honestly, situations like these that happen over and over again, they just reinforce the opinion I have that kids under the age of 13 just shouldn't have social media accounts on most platforms. It is probably not any kind of nuclear take, but I am just so tired of seeing these kids get taken advantage of by people like Cosmo, and it pains me to know that it's incredibly easy for a lot of YouTubers to do this. I don't know, I just feel like a lot of measures should be taken here that just aren't. And this is not at all to say that the children are at fault here. I'm just saying that not only might impressionable kids watch these terrible apologies and excuses and think they're acceptable, they might absorb that reasoning themselves and then completely miss warning signs or make excuses for other people who might harm them in the future. A grooming situation on its own is bad, but it's even worse when the audience the groomer has is young, because, you know, of course kids are going to defend a content creator they like, even if, you know, they're indefensible. Like we saw it with the Lens situation, and they're likely going to regurgitate the excuses the content creator themselves puts out, which only hurts people. And when you look up to somebody and start repeating the things they say, you're going to start to internalize that shit and start to believe it yourself. So like I mentioned earlier, it would just make it a lot easier for people to take advantage of them in the future, and that's not good. Where I'm going with this is that it's better for like literally everyone if people who have taken advantage of kids like this just go away permanently. And, you know, it's really good that people can see that their apologies are not being accepted, why they're wrong. I just really don't want people to absorb these terrible YouTuber apologies and think that's normal or try and defend them like that, because again, no matter how you twist it, once people like this get away with it, literally all it does is show them that they can get away with it again, and there really is no reason for anyone who has harmed another person in that way to just stink around the place, you know, because it's just a bad look for everyone involved. Anyways, this was kind of a short segment, but I will wrap up the video here. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that by making this kind of content, I can just like help more people be aware of who they're talking to, what they're doing, and all that stuff. You know, try to spot people that don't have the best intentions in mind. I don't know. If you like this video, be sure to, you know, like it or check out the rest of my channel because I make videos similar to this one. If you want to see some of my art and or just random thoughts I have, be sure to check out my social medias, all of them linked in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, which hopefully is not anything like this one. And yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.